the different features of the data factory, right? So can you hear my voice, all of you?
Yes.
Yes, Ramesh. Yeah, we can hear.
Okay. So yesterday we gone through the different features of the Databricks and we have seen some the Spark architecture and everything. So today what we are going to do, like how we can practice our Databricks, where we can practice, and
Sorry for this, bro.
how to create that trial account in order to start with the Databricks. So that we are going to focus today. Okay. So like so first to start with, actually we can practice Databricks in both the ways. One way is like we can create the community edition account and we can practice it, or we can also create a first Azure account, Azure portal account, and within that Azure portal account, we have to create the Databricks works. So both the ways we can do it. So now we are going to discuss about both the ways how we can do it. So in order to work with your community edition, so what you have to do, just you have to go to the Google and just type in like Databricks community edition. That's it. Databricks community edition. Just type in this. And once you type in this, you can just click on the first link, Databricks Community Edition. And when you click on it, it will ask you to sign up for your pre-edition, right? So just click on sign in. Okay, click on sign in. And then if you already created that community edition, you can click on sign in. But if you are not, created anything, just click on sign up and then so continue with your Microsoft account in case if you are having the Microsoft account. Otherwise, we can use the Google. Okay, that is a Gmail account. Or if you want to use other than Google or any other Outlook account, so you are free to use it. Okay, there is no issue with that. Okay, so everybody will have the Google account. I want to select the Google. Okay, then after that you have to just to click on any Gmail that you already signed in your system, and once you click on that, you will be able to log in. Okay, so it will ask you to log in. Okay, so once you click on, so it will directly log you in. If you I already created, it is directly kind of allowing me to sign in. But if you are logging in for the first time, what it will do, it will send out a code. Okay, it will send out a code, verification code, and you have to enter that verification code. Okay, so that is the first thing that you have to do. So first thing is you have to just type in Databricks Community Edition and just click on login and you have to sign up. So it's just same like a Gmail. It's not very hard. So once you click on, for suppose to continue with the Google, okay, you want to try with some other account. Okay, so some other account and then click on continue and now it will ask you to create a new account and then just try to continue and then it will ask you some puzzle or blah blah blah. You have to just match that and after that your verification will be completed and then finally it will send you some code. Okay, so after setting up your account, it will ask you to verify your Gmail. Okay, so after you verify your Gmail, your account will be created and you are done. Okay, so sometimes it is, kind of, see, it's directly logged in. There is no issue with that. Sometimes they will send you the verification code. You have to enter that verification code. This is as simple as it. Okay. So once you enter into this Databricks notebook. Assume like you have created this community edition. You have entered into this Databricks workspace. You can see this Databricks workspace will have some components like, you know, this, the repos, shared, users, all these things that it has, right? So this user is your, the mail ID that you have used to create your trial account. And if you click on this mail ID, you will be able to, create the folders or notebooks, or you can create a file, something like that. You can basically try to uh, kind of create the objects. Okay, I have some already notebooks that have been created. And also, if you go to the shade, here also you have this, you will have the same options. Same option that you can see. The only difference is in real time while you are working in the project, if you create anything under your username folder, that will be accessible by you. Okay, that will not be accessible by other user. If you want to give the access, just try to, go here and just click on these three dots, and then we have to share it. We have to share it with the other users. We can click on share, and okay, so now you will have, if you are working in a project, you have multiple email IDs. You have to search and you have to give the permission to access that particular notebook. Okay, if you are created under your username, but if you created under shared folder, so by default, everybody will have the permission to access your objects like notebooks and everything, right? And then you are able to. So if you are not talking, please go to mute. Okay. So if you are already created on the shared folder, by default, every user will have the access. Okay. So, but if you want to restrict the access to any user, so that we can do that. Okay. So usually the Databricks developer don't manage the permission. So the admin, like the DevOps admin and all those guys, they will manage the permissions access. But if you require to do, then we can try to do it. Okay. So organization means, for suppose the client, okay, so client will have some they will take this Azure portal license based on their company. The entire license, they will take on the company name. Okay. Even if you work for any software company, they will also own some license. They will have some license subscriptions. So that is what I mean. Organization means any company or your client, anything, okay, that you are working for. They will have the license, they will not take for individual, but they will take for entire organization level. Okay, that is what I am referring. Organization means like a company or client or vendor, anything. Okay, depends on their need. They will take multiple licenses, all those things. Now, okay, so you can see, as I told you, so first, the heart of the Databricks is cluster, isn't it? Mm. So where do I find the cluster? So after enter into this, you can see compute. So here you can find the cluster. Since this is a trial account, it is not allowing you to create your own cluster and configure that. Okay, how many worker nodes are required? How much is the memory is required? So you cannot, they have not given the option to create your own cluster. Instead, what they have given the cluster type as serverless. So what exactly mean by the serverless? This Databricks itself, it will decide how many worker nodes that it needs to use, how much memory it needs to use, and it is very limited memory that they will give for the trial account. You will not decide. how much memory is required, how many worker nodes are required. Only Databricks itself, it will decide how many worker nodes and all those things are required. That is the limitation in the trial account if you use the community edition. But if you are creating the Azure Databricks workspace through portal, you will have some flexibility to create your own cluster. That also we will see very soon. Okay. The first thing is you need not to create any cluster, and it will not allow, first place, it will not allow you to create any cluster. Okay. So it will automatically use this serverless cluster. That is the first thing. Now, okay, I went to this workspace and I want to write some programming. How can I do that? Either you can go to the shared folder or either you can go to the users. Anything is fine. I'll go to the shared folder and I can create a new folder called as folder 2. I have created the folder and then within that folder I want to create my notebook. So what is notebook? As I told you, notebook is a kind of a editor, right? You can name this as your notebook 1, first notebook that you are going to create. So within this notebook, we can write any command. Okay. So you can write any command and you can try to execute. So when you try to run this command, what it is doing, see, it is always trying to connect to the cluster, right? Without attaching to this notebook to the cluster, you are not able to execute anything. You are not able to execute anything. So always, like when you are running any command, this notebook will basically try to attach this to a cluster. That is a prerequisite. The first thing is you should have the cluster. And when you are running any command in your notebook, so it will automatically picks up the active cluster, or you are free to choose your own cluster that you have created. In case if you have multiple clusters that you have created, you are free to choose that. Okay. But the prerequisite is in order to run and get some output. So you should attach to the cluster. This is a kind of a notebook. And within this notebook, you can see it supports, as we discussed yesterday, it supports Python or PySpark, whatever it may be, SQL. It will support Scala and R language. By default, you need not to specify any anything, like if by default it is a Python notebook. But if you want to use some SQL, for suppose, you can just change it to SQL. So it will just give you percentile SQL and you can write some SQL. You can select the data from tables, something like that. You can write it. So without using percentile SQL, you are not able to execute this command. And if you change it to Scala, percentile Scala, you have to give. It automatically change. You need not to type in, but if you want to type in manually, you can also type. If you change it to Python, that's it. But no percentage Python is required. Of course, you can use it, but it's not required to type. But it is usually, it is a kind of supported by Python. It is more like we can say it will follow the Spark SQL syntax. It is very much similar to SQL. Only there is a little difference in some of the commands syntactically, but if you have the SQL knowledge, that is more than enough to work with this Spark SQL, because 95% of the SQL syntax is similar to Spark SQL. So don't worry in that part. If you just brush up on the basic SQL, that should be fine to work with this SQL. The same SQL syntax that we'll be using in most of the cases. Right? So that is about this. And of course, so you can add multiple cells and you can delete based on your requirement, right? like this. And here you can see some options, some user-friendly options. No need to go much about it. We can add the cell below or above, or we can add the title, something like that. We will explore in coming classes, right? So you can add the title if you want to add the title, something like that. We can play with it. It's not a big deal, right? Some user-friendly option that we have. Now, okay, so we have seen the notebooks and the clusters. And apart from that, you can see one section called as catalog. So what exactly we have in this catalog? So within this catalog, you can see in the left-hand side, you can see the default information underscore schema. You can see these are all default and information underscore schema are databases within the Databricks environment. And within these databases, these are all tables. Okay. This default tables that are already been created by the Databricks, right? These are all databases, Access, AI, Compute. These are all databases that has been created automatically, right? So this will have some data, I guess. So if you want to use it and some practice purpose, we can use that. These are all given by default. Okay, so these are all databases. And also, along with this, we are able to store the files within the Databricks environment also. Okay, so that option may be available here or not, I'm not sure. So we will have a concept called the storage called a Databricks file system. So you have to go to the settings and you have to enable that. Okay, right now, I don't think it is supporting in the trial account, but I will show you within my account, like how do we enable the Databricks file system to store the files. Generally, once we enable, you can see the option called as Browse DBFS, Databricks file system option, where we will store the files. Here it is not showing up. That is fine. I will show soon. And of course, like other than that, now we are most of the guys, very much well versed with the SQL syntaxes. Still, like if you want to, write some SQL queries or, kind of, you know, use it, still you can, write that SQL syntaxes and you can query your SQL databases, right? And then we can try to execute it. That is heavily supported, right? So, I mean, here you can see, you can write your, this is not Spark SQL. This is purely MySQL kind of syntax that it will support. Of course, it will mix up that. Okay. So it will support. And yes, the Databricks will be able to connect AWS S3 and all the kind of the to say buckets and everything. It will be able to connect the Azure file system called as blob storage data lake. We are able to connect it. So I will show you, since in our environment, I can show you the data lake and the blob storage. I cannot show you the AWS because we don't have it, but it is very much simple. If you know like how to connect your blob storage, the same thing that we have to do for connecting the AWS also. Yes, we are able to connect to AWS from the Databricks. That is possible. And if you write some program and you want to run, so you, as I told you, we have to create the jobs over here, right? We have to create the jobs over here and we can try to run it. And other than that, there is a new feature within the Databricks. It has been added. Is like you can also create a flow, like that will allow us to connect to some of the sources directly. For suppose you want to connect to the SAP from here, so you can just create the connection link. If you have that environment, proper credentials, you can just connect and you can extract the data. Like that, it is supporting some of the newly added sources, and it is supporting, and we are able to extract the data directly from the Databricks. This is a new feature that has been added. Earlier, we used to depend more on the data factory to extract the data and place it in a data lake. And now some of the connectors that it is supporting. Okay, since we will see like at least try to connect to the SQL server from here and try to see like how to establish the connection. So rest of the thing depends on our requirement. You can try if you have the proper environment. Okay, so that also we'll explore. Okay, yes, it will connect to. I think it will connect to Snowflake if they are given the connector. If they don't have the connector, I'm not sure. I think they must have given because it is a cloud only. So let's. I never tried to connect to Snowflake. I tried from Data Factory. So if that is listed here, yes. But if they are not listed here, they don't. Okay, this should be present here. Okay. I don't think it is there. So in that case, we might have to depend on some other tools like ADF to first extract the data into our data lake and then we can connect. Okay. So if they are not given, then we are not able to connect. So we can connect to the cloud-based databases, right? Like Azure and everything. And now like we can also connect to the on-premises also. So that we will see like this is also new feature. Okay, that we will see like if I am able to showcase with minimal steps and without any environment issues, I can also see like how to extract the data from on-premises SQL Server also. With cloud, definitely yes, but on-premises, I will have to try environment whether it is supported or not. Now, they are also given the feature to connect to the on-premises also nowadays. Okay, so both kind of it will support it now. Earlier, it was we are able to connect only to the cloud. Now they have given the feature to connect to a on-premises also. Okay, if I am able to, yes, within that I have to try whether I am able to do it or not. If not, then at least I will try to showcase in my environment. Okay, so that is one thing. And yeah, so this, as I told you, the Databricks will basically try to use AI and ML. It is already supported. So we can also integrate if you are very well versed with the data science concepts and all, you can use that. Okay. So this is also supported AI and ML, right? So this is about the overall thing about this components. Now we will have to explore like how we can create through Azure portal. So in order to work with the Databricks through Azure portal, first prerequisite is you should have the Azure portal account. You have to create the first portal. You have to first try to create your Azure portal. Okay. So if you want to create your Azure portal, you should have the proper credit card. Okay. Only they will detect 2 rupees from your account, and that too they will credit back after 2 days. So no need to worry. This is just for verification purpose. They will charge you 2 rupees. And if you don't have the credit card, you can borrow from someone. If you have it, that will be good. You can just first try to create your Azure portal account and then try to log into this Azure portal. And within the Azure portal, you have to create your resource group, right? Under this resource group, you have to create your Databricks workspace. How to create that? Just click on create and then try to type in like Databricks. There are n number of applications and tools that are been there supported by the Azure. So we will try to type in the our resource name that we are going to create so that it will be easier to search. So just click on the second option, Azure Databricks, and try to choose your subscription. In your case, you will be having only one subscription, that is free trial. So don't need to worry. And then you have to choose your name. Okay. You have to give your name and you have to keep the same default region. And here the pricing tier you have to choose. In your case, it will be trial only by default. Okay. So I can choose, I can keep the same premium tier. And so for me, I have to go here and add one extra step. For you, it is not required. Don't ignore these steps. Tax. Ignore this step. No need to worry about that tax section in your case while you are creating. Just click on review plus create. And once it is validation is succeeded, then click on create. So after few minutes, your Databricks workspace will be ready. Okay. So it's a simple thing. Like you need not to install any tool or external tool or software and anything. Just log into your portal and create your um, resource group. That too, how to create the resource group. Once you log in, you will find the resource group section. Since you are already new to this Azure portal, just click on create. Click on create new resource group and you can create the resource group first. And after you create the resource group, under that resource group, you can just go to this resource group and then click on create new resource. Just type in Databricks and then try to follow the same step that I mentioned before. So no need to do anything extra. So first you will be creating the Azure portal account. How do you create the Azure portal? Just go to the Google. So this will be easy only. So just go to the Google first and just type in Azure free account. Just type in free account or free trial, anything. And then select this Azure free trial and then follow the steps. Okay, so just search here Azure free trial account. Just search and then just try to select this. So for me, it is already been created. That is why it is directly me taking. Okay. For you, it will give you the prompt that enter your mail ID and the password and all the details. Okay. For me, it is directly taking to the Azure portal since I already created. Okay. So just follow the steps and enter the personal details that it is asked and the credit card details and all. You will be able to log in. Okay. If you have any queries and any issues, let me know on Monday. We'll discuss. Okay? If anybody facing any issues while creating the Azure trial account, it will be easy steps. Same like Google sign up, Gmail sign up. So no critical thing in it. Okay. So now our Azure Databricks workspace is created. See, deployment is succeeded. Now we are able to work with it. So Azure Databricks service is created here in the Azure portal. Just click on this. Once you click on this and it will ask you to launch workspace. So once you click on launch workspace, you can see the same UI as your here. So this is through browser. Cloud.databricks.com, this is through browser, but this is through portal, Azure portal, isn't it? This is through Azure portal, but the UI is same, nothing different, right? The user interface is same. So through browser where you practice or here, it will be same. Only thing is here you only practice and interact with the Databricks service only. But here in the resource group, you can create data factory, you can create storage account, you can connect to different resources from here. That is the only limitation. Okay, that is why the, the trial account, that community edition will have limited features. Okay, having said that, but this is more than enough to practice 70% of the database stuff. Only 30% limitation that we will discuss through portal. Right. So if we go to the workspace and within here, you can see same folder structure, shared users, right? So like this, we can try to use it. And now same thing, you can just try to go to the compute. As I told you, there we don't have any option to, we don't have any option to create our own cluster. See, if you go to the compute, you don't have any option to create your own cluster. But here you can see we are able to create our own cluster. So click on create compute. Okay. So here we can just try to type in name, any name, and here you can keep the same unrestricted. And here you can see some of the things like Databricks runtime and minimum and maximum worker nodes. See, as I mentioned, we can keep the minimum and maximum worker nodes that are required. So depends on the size of the data, it will try to use the worker nodes in between the minimum and the maximum. And here also the worker type depends on the worker type. We can increase the memory and the course. Course indicates that the processing speed. It will increase the processing speed if you increase the number of cores. And also we can enable auto scaling feature. That means that whenever we are trying to process some data, it will try to use the required number of worker nodes in between minimum and the maximum. So that is why I have enabled, we can enable auto scaling always and terminate after. So if you are not using the cluster, after how many minutes of inactivity you want to terminate that cluster. Why it is so important to terminate our cluster? Why? Because if you are not using that cluster, still you will be paid for that until it is inactive. So that is why after 10 minutes or 5 minutes of inactivity, if you are not using that cluster anymore, so if you forget, sometimes you will forget, right? As a developer, we easily forget to turn off. So if you take this option, this cluster will be terminated after 10 minutes of inactivity or 20 minutes of inactivity so that you will not be charged anymore after that many minutes. So that is why it is important to select this option, right? So this is how we can basically create. So earlier they have given the option to create from here also, but it is disabled for some reason. Okay, not sure why they are disabled in the trial account, but we will be able to create our own cluster in the compute section. That is one thing. And second thing is, as I told you, like here in the trial account, okay, so we are using the serverless. So here also we can try to use the same serverless also, it is there. Okay. So here you can create the notebook. And if you create the notebook, you can see either you can select your own cluster or you can use the serverless. Anything is fine. Okay. So here serverless means it will decide how many worker nodes it has to use. You don't have the control of it. everything. Okay, it's a kind of block box kind of thing. Right? So rest of the things are same. And one more thing, as I told you, we can also store the files within the Databricks. How can we, where can we store the files? If you go to the catalog, you can see this is the database. You can create the tables, but where you can upload the files, that option is by default, it is disabled. You have to enable that option in order to store the files within the Databricks environment. So where do you find that option generally? If you go to your settings, and within that settings, you can see, I think in the advanced, you can see one option called as DBFS file browser. DBFS file browser. So DBFS file browser, like by default, it is disabled. Off. You have to turn it on. After you turn it on, you have to refresh this. Once you refresh this, then go to the catalog again, and you can see browse DBFS option. DBFS means Databricks file system. Just click on browse DBFS. There are some default folders that are hierarchy that is been created automatically by the Databricks. You can upload some files over here. Click on done. Right? So you can upload the files, any files, and you can delete it. You can store the files. You can store the data in the form of files as well as the tables. In the catalog section, you can see that these are all databases. Under that, you can kind of create the tables as and when required. Right? So these two options are that we'll be using in future. Like these are all important. So this is what I want to showcase today on high level, like how it is the environment looks like and all. So the action point from your standpoint is by Monday you will be creating this all the trial accounts. Like through community edition you can try it, and through portal also you can try to create the portal and try to create configure the Databricks workspace and keep it ready. So that we'll be starting first with the PySpark from Monday. We'll start with the basics and we'll move on. And because PySpark is very much important, so we will be kind of starting with the PySpark, and then after, as and when required, we will be discussing the Databricks core concepts. Okay. So the portal is free, as I told you. Need not to pay any amount. Only you have to pay 2 rupees, and that too, 2 rupees will be credited after 2 days. They will charge you only for verification purpose. No need to worry. So you can create your Azure portal for free. They will give you like 14,000 worth of credits, and that will be you will be able to use within 1 month. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, so any more doubts from today's session before we wind up? We can address that and we can close, and we will take our regular process from Monday. Okay, so and then we will discuss. First, we will start with the PySpark and then database core concepts. Okay, so if anybody have any additional queries, you can ask before we wind up. Okay.